Okay, good. So welcome everybody. As most of you know, my name is Jonathan Yudis and I am a agent and a realtor with Keller Williams, like pretty much everybody here. But this talk is titled Cryptocurrency and Real Estate. And thanks everybody for attending. I want to start off by saying this is a very laid back presentation. And so I have a structure that I want to go through. And I think because there are a lot of potential tangents in each area, what would be best is if we could get through kind of material and then take questions. Maybe I'll take questions after each section as opposed to the end, because that way it won't get overwhelming. And my goal with this presentation is really just to try and not make, everybody crypto experts or anything like that, because honestly, it is a huge field of sort of evolving study, and changes a lot, and it does take a lot of due diligence, in my opinion, to really delve in and understand a lot of this material. But if you could leave today with an overview and a basic understanding of the key elements of crypto and blockchain, and have an idea of how it can impact our industry, how it is beginning to really start to impact the real estate industry, then that would make me feel like this was a success. So I'm going to do a screen share, and I only have a handful of slides, but several of them have definitions and things that I want to read. So I'm going to kind of open up some slides and share them with you, and I'll read them out loud. The reason I want to read them, and the reason I wanted to actually have things in writing, is because there is a lot of this, again, a lot of areas in crypto that are, I guess you could say, open to interpretation, or things you could think you understand something, but it's actually a little bit different. And so I think having the definitions of things is actually a very helpful and beneficial, and a great way to start. So I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm going to share my screen right now, and you guys just somebody let me know if you can see what is cryptocurrency. I just want to make sure my screen share is working. Can everybody see that?
Got it.
Okay, excellent. This is the very basic understanding of cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is digital money created from code. The cryptocurrency economy is monitored by a peer-to-peer internet protocol. Cryptocurrency is an encrypted string of data, or a hash, encoded to signify one unit of currency. Examples of cryptocurrency that most of you have probably heard of are Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Ripple, aka XRP. Those are different cryptocurrencies. So, the simple explanation, if that's not really clear, somebody said cryptocurrency is almost like a spreadsheet. It's like a online spreadsheet, but where when things are recorded, they become sort of official. So that's what that encrypted string of data is. And so the reason, it's Bitcoin, and you see these symbols of a coin, is to help us understand it, because we've been using traditional fiat currency for, millennia. When people have had gold and silver coins and other type of coins, and you could recognize that as a form of currency. So this is the same thing, but it's just not physical. And so it's a process of creating that currency online. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. However, before I do, is there anybody that already has questions? Is there anybody that sort of doesn't understand this? Because it's okay if you don't. And if you don't, if you don't understand something, it's likely there's somebody else that might also be a little confused. And I'm happy to, kind of explain it or try and simplify or something like that. So you can either raise your hand or just unmute and let me know if this is not clear. Anybody? Bueller?
I have a question.
Yes,
So,
Barbara.
I mean, I'm starting from zero knowledge at all. So I understand there's these different types of cryptocurrencies. How do they get established? How does someone establish a value and go out there and say, okay, I'm selling this and it has value? I mean, what's the value based on?
Well, so this first is, sort of, we're trying to understand what is cryptocurrency as a whole.
Right.
Once you kind of get that as a concept, you have a wide variety of types of cryptocurrencies. And so in a way, it's almost infinite in terms of what could have a cryptocurrency connected to it. And I think I'm going to have a specific definition of a Bitcoin in a bit, but just as a starter, so Bitcoin is actually, it started, when it first was created, it wanted to be one thing, and then it wanted to be another, and now it's sort of landed as a store of value, seems to be the one that has hit, or a lot of people call it like digital gold, in terms of what it's sort of accepted as and valued as right now. So Bitcoin, just as a starter, would be a good way to think of it, would be like a piece of gold if you had a gold coin. And in the same way that people value gold, the reason they value gold are, it's arguable, but one reason is that it's a quote unquote limited resource. There's only so much of it on the planet. And because of that, and because you could also say that people thought it was beautiful, a precious metal, but because of its scarcity, it had value. There's actually a funny story that, what a lot of people say is the wealthiest person, wealthiest person ever in human history was Mansa Musa from Africa. And it's just kind of a funny tangent, is that he had a tremendous, at the time of his rulership, he had a tremendous, like most of the world's gold and most of the world's salt. And those were the two, most valuable resources in the world at that time. So he became, by far the wealthiest man in the world. I think his value was something like 4 or 5 times the current net worth of Jeff Bezos, just to give you an idea of how wealthy he was. And everywhere he went, he gave away gold. He wanted to try and make other people, just give away the wealth. And he gave away so much gold that by the time he passed away, the actual value of gold internationally in the world really took a hit. And it took about 50 years before gold was as valuable again, because he gave so much of it away. So anyway, back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin in particular, part of the white pages, which is like the kind of like the Bible of each currency, has a white pages which defines what it is and kind of how it operates. And so in Bitcoin, there's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be minted, which is created. So we've got 7 billion people on the planet, and there's only going to ever be 21 million Bitcoin. So if you own a single Bitcoin, you're one of 21 million people that have it. And in a way, that for that particular token or coin creates value. But really, the deeper question of what you're saying is it's up to us. It's a peer-to-peer thing. So if everybody simultaneously decided that a dollar bill was not worth anything, then who cares? It wouldn't matter how many dollar bills you have. I'm saying the reason the dollar has value is because you can use it in a store. It's got usage right now. I mean, you can buy things with it, and because we give it value. So the same goes with Bitcoin and really all cryptocurrencies. So if everybody simultaneously decided that Bitcoins were who cares? I don't need a Bitcoin, and the price could go to zero. And so that is the case with everything. The other important clarification that I think you're asking about, which is important to make, is that, I mean, the way that I think of it is that each cryptocurrency, it could be in some ways seen as stock for the company, but it's not actually that simple, because if you think of stocks, it's almost, it's like all companies can have a stock, whereas in cryptocurrencies really do change a little bit in terms of what their purpose or value is. But Ethereum, as an example, which is probably the second most popular and a very valuable crypto, is based on the Ethereum network, which is a blockchain, and a lot of different tokens are called ERC20 tokens. They exist on this blockchain, which we'll get into. I'll move on to the next slide, which is more about blockchain. But so there is this blockchain called Ethereum. The way you can think of it is Ethereum is like the train tracks, and there are different trains that can run on the train tracks. So Bitcoin would be one train car, and or as an example, actually, Bitcoin kind of is its own thing. But if you're an ERC20 token, then you're a train car that runs on Ethereum. And there are a lot of different tokens that run on Ethereum, but Ethereum as a whole has its own token. And so the more people that started, that's a railroad is a good analogy. So like you built the railroad tracks, and once they're built, you allow whoever's got a train to run on your tracks, but you're the main railroad that goes from New York to Los Angeles. And the more trains that are running on your train tracks, the more valuable the train track itself is. And so if you own Ethereum tokens, it would be like you own the stock in that train track. So that's what Ethereum is. So the important thing to note here is that there is a distinction between like Bitcoin and Ethereum. They do different things or represent different things, but they're both tokens representing something, and that change in value. So I'm going to move on before we get too caught up. I want to get through a few other things. So there's exchanges where you can buy and sell these different cryptocurrencies. So a cryptocurrency exchange is an online platform where you can exchange one cryptocurrency for another cryptocurrency or for a fiat currency. There's also like stable coins. And these are some of the big cryptocurrency exchanges that you may or may not have heard of. eToro, CryptoGo, Binance, Coinbase is a big one here in the United States for sure. So these are just different exchanges. And then now I wanted to get a little bit into the blockchain, because that's sort of the next important thing to understand about cryptocurrencies. So these are the different stages of how a transaction happens on the blockchain. So on your computer, a transaction is requested and authenticated. And this is a block representing that transaction is therefore created. So the visuals here help. So a transaction is requested and it's authenticated, and by that process, a block is created. The block is then sent to every node or participant in the network. So that's important, because there could be many thousands of nodes. And the nodes validate the transaction. So if Jonathan is going to sell, although it wouldn't be Jonathan necessarily, it would just be my wallet address. But my wallet address is selling a Bitcoin to Barbara. And that transaction goes through every node. The nodes are validating that sale. And then the nodes receive a reward for proof of work, typically in cryptocurrency. And the block is then added to the existing blockchain, which is a chain of different transactions. So it's all recorded. And then the update is distributed across the whole network, again, recorded, and then the transaction becomes complete. So a simple way of thinking about this is just that, you know, in our current system, if I want to send money to Barbara, I have to physically go to the bank. I might have to fill out some paperwork to do a wire. Barbara has to have a bank where she has a bank account, and we set it all up, and then the bank charges a certain fee. The money gets processed officially, and that's how it happens. That's the current system. Now, what happens if it's after hours? I can't send that money. What happens if it's on a Sunday or a national holiday? I can't send that money. And there's also anonymity, which is a very big aspect of crypto, where you know, instead of it being, you know, officially Jonathan sending it to Barbara, in crypto you could have wallets that are sending coins to other wallets, and so there is a huge level of anonymity, and people that feel that they value that element of you know, not having massive regulation and oversight when they're doing transactions and things like that. So here we're going kind of back a little bit, but because everybody's heard of Bitcoin, I think it's funny because, you know, I'm very involved in crypto. When I tell people I am involved in crypto, they almost always will say, yeah, you know, I was going to get a Bitcoin, and go into a Bitcoin story. And you know, I've diversified heavily. Not that I, you know, don't see the value or have deep respect for Bitcoin. It will always be the first, and I understand its store value as sort of digital gold and all of that. But for various reasons we can get to at the end, maybe in the question and answers, I'm far from a Bitcoin maximalist. Like I don't like the elements that are not good for the environment, and there's other things that I feel like have far surpassed it. In terms of just better technology, better operation, better potential in all kinds of ways. But because everybody has heard of Bitcoin, and it is the biggest, and it's got the largest market cap and all that, I think it's important that we go into Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a decentralized network of digital currency. Transactions are made to and from 16-character encrypted addresses. These addresses are mathematically secure so that nobody but the owner of the address can transfer the funds that belong to it. To put it simply, Bitcoin is a network of independent computers that generate, propagate, and verify monetary transactions. How does one buy a Bitcoin? Before you can purchase Bitcoin, you have to install a software wallet onto your computer. The wallet will allow you to send, receive, and transfer Bitcoins. And of course, this also includes a fraction of a Bitcoin. So if a Bitcoin is $40,000 and you've only got $500, you can certainly buy that amount. And the amount of Bitcoin is often, you know, referred to as Satoshi, because Satoshi Nakamoto, nobody knows who that is officially, is the one who created Bitcoin. We're not even sure. A lot of people feel that Satoshi is no longer alive because there's a lot of unclaimed Bitcoin, and for various reasons. So part two is, to purchase a Bitcoin, you have to deposit money into an online exchange that connects Bitcoin buyers and sellers. Like going back to the previous slide where I said, you know, there's these different exchanges where you can, you know, get membership or, you know, join and be a part of the exchange, and then you can convert your fiat money into whatever you want, but you can certainly purchase Bitcoin if you want. Once the exchange has accepted your currency, you can place an order for Bitcoin similar to the way you would purchase a stock. So that's, again, a lot of info to digest. Before we kind of move forward, are there questions on kind of what we've covered? Everybody following that okay? Okay, well, if you have questions, we will have a larger opportunity for questions at the end. But if nobody's got anything big, I will move on. So this is just, again, a kind of familiar symbol. You can see that's the Bitcoin logo, the B with the cash, and this is one of the symbols for the coin. It's got, you know, kind of all of the computer chip elements. It says decentralized, peer-to-peer, digital currency, and just thought that was kind of a neat image of Bitcoin. So now I wanted to shift. There's, of course, so much more that I could go into in the general realm of cryptocurrency and all the different tokens and everything. One thing that I would say is, and again, these are just generalizations, and these are all things that I'm saying in my humble opinion. So I certainly don't claim to be absolutely correct on any of this. And like I said at the beginning, I would encourage everybody to do a lot of their own due diligence, you know, in terms of trying to get a handle of a lot of this. When I think of the, you know, kind of enthusiasm and excitement about crypto, I think of it a lot like, you know, a lot like Wall Street, except, you know, like Wall Street is sort of old school. You know, Wall Street is a lot of traders, and you kind of have to, in a lot of ways, people that were trained in that environment and how to buy and sell and trade and short and do all of that. And now there's this new emerging sort of arena of crypto. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think the vast majority of crypto enthusiasts are people that are excited to create wealth and abundance. You know, I mean, Bitcoin and crypto have appreciated more than anything else in modern history. I mean, Bitcoin is in the millions of percent appreciation, you know, X. It's like if you would have bought Bitcoin back in 2010, or, you know, when it first came out, I mean, you could have gotten Bitcoin at under $1. I mean, there are people that got Bitcoin at under $1 when it was only cents. And just think about it. Now, a single Bitcoin is, you know, well, definitely over $35,000, $40,000. I mean, it peaked at, I think 60 something. Was it? I mean, in the 60s. Like I said, I actually, I'm not a big Bitcoin holder, so I don't actually have the exact ones. But suffice it to say, it's appreciated tremendously. Now, one of the reasons, you know, if you were getting into crypto for that reason alone, you know, if you were like, Jonathan, I just want to make money. I just, you know, I want to try and, you know, get in on this, you know, thing of crypto, and you would still be early. That's one thing that's important that I would share with everybody on this call is it is natural for people to feel like behind the 8 ball and kind of like, oh my gosh, crypto's already, you know, I don't know anything about it. But honestly, if you're on this call and you put a little bit of time, effort, and energy into learning things and kind of getting your bearings, you would absolutely still be considered early in the overall sense. Like internationally, if you look at the world and how many people own crypto, how many people are trading crypto, it's still small. It's a very small minority. There's still the vast majority of the world that doesn't know anything about it, isn't involved. And so that's what I mean when I say you're early. The other thing I would say is, and in crypto, it's called shilling, if you're sort of promoting a specific project or token or coin. So I do not want this to become a shilling. I don't want to shill anything. But I would say if there's a lot of projects out there that have tremendous potential other than Bitcoin, you know, like, so if a Bitcoin is $50,000 now, you know, it's got to be worth $500,000 per Bitcoin to do what's called a 10x. So as opposed to if you could find another project or token and get in and it's under a penny, all that would have to do is get to, 5 cents or, 5 to 10 cents, and you would have, whatever you invested, you would have 10x. So one of the keys in terms of wealth creation is if you find a project that you really believe in and you can get in on it when it's not huge, there's massive opportunity there. So now I want to shift focus a little bit, because we are all realtors and or in the real estate industry, and that's what the kind of focus of this was also, is how is cryptocurrency affecting the real estate market and real estate in general. So this one says, buying real estate with Bitcoin, how to use cryptocurrency when purchasing property. And here's another one that says how crypto relates to real estate. While blockchain technology makes cryptocurrency transactions possible, it is larger than any one virtual coin. That bodes well for the real estate market for buyers and sellers alike. So this is one entity called Picasso that I just wanted to share, because they are currently selling real estate with cryptocurrency, or selling, and you can buy on their website with cryptocurrency and giving loans and everything. Together with our banking partners, Picasso offers a competitive rate, financing up to 70% of the homes purchased. Buyers can also pay with cash or crypto. So, and then here's what I wanted to kind of just go over this is just the overview here. Cryptocurrency has been increasingly making its way into real estate transactions in various forms. Listing homes for sale for Bitcoin. One of the most visible ways that Bitcoin has been showing up in real estate is through home listings. Several sellers and agents have been using this tactic to create more buzz and attention for their properties. Some sellers have insisted on all Bitcoin. Others have asked for payment split between US dollars or fiat and Bitcoin. This may work well for high-end housing listings where the most likely buyers may have and want to use their Bitcoins for real estate. This appears to be an increasing trend, as many have enjoyed big wins in cryptocurrency and are looking for a way to balance that and preserve their gains by converting them into tangible real estate assets. So in an overall sense, just one simple way to understand how real estate and cryptocurrency are starting to interact and merge is that we now have many millionaires or multimillionaires that, and you don't even have to be a millionaire, but we have many people that have Bitcoin and other crypto that portfolios that are valuable. And if you're trying to diversify your assets or in a way hedge your bets, so to speak, you could completely believe in your crypto portfolio and also feel like, well, I've made profits. Now I want to have assets not just in crypto. And so if you started with a little bit of money and you ended up with a handful of Bitcoin, it would certainly make sense that you would want to have a real estate portfolio. And now there's these opportunities to do that, where homes are actually now, of course, even before, you could always do this by converting your digital currencies back into fiat. So that's what a lot of people have been doing for a while, where you just you sell your Bitcoin on the exchanges, you convert it to USDC or just fiat back to fiat, and then you use the fiat to purchase real estate. But now it's becoming possible to even skip that step and just pay with your crypto. This is from I'm pretty sure this is from the Forbes article. There's a few articles I was looking back to and referencing for these slides. These are some of the advantages of using cryptocurrency in real estate. There are many potential benefits for using cryptocurrency in real estate, including privacy when buying property, easier international overseas transactions, liquidity in real estate investing, reducing the cost of real estate transactions, avoiding tax on transferring property rights, gaining attention in the press, and balancing the security of brick and mortar real estate with the flexibility of Bitcoin. Here's a little bit more from that Forbes article. These are just, again, a few things that I found popped in, wanted to share. Earlier this year, the mayor of Miami proposed allowing people to pay property taxes or city fees with crypto. Shortly after, a Miami penthouse sold to an anonymous buyer for $28 million, paid entirely in cryptocurrency, making it the most expensive known residential crypto real estate transaction in the US to date. So one thing about this that's important is just that this is actually happening. So, for people to kind of be saying, oh yeah, this crypto thing, and it might happen, we're already beyond that. Like, these are actual transactions that are happening. I'm not sure if I have the slide here, but there's also a property that has been listed in Florida as an NFT. I don't think I grabbed the NFT slides, but an NFT is a non-fungible token, which basically means it's almost, it's something, and it has a code that's connected to it, almost like a serial code, if you could think of it, that's connected to it. So a lot of people say they're just JPEGs. There's a lot of speculation and argument. I mean, some people think it's insane that these NFTs are selling for many millions of dollars. But the way to think of it is, if you have a poster of, let's just say it's a poster of a famous surfer, and then you take a picture of the poster and you put it up on the internet, and then it starts going around and everything like that. So and then somebody else takes a picture of your picture. It's sort of like, you could have an infinite number of them, or just the poster itself. Like, there could be a famous poster image and everybody's got it in their house. But the difference is, if there was a serial number attached to the original, like, photographic negative of that image of the surfer, that's what an NFT is. So an NFT takes a certain image. Right now, there are a lot of them that are artworks, like, so they're like JPEGs or little short movies, with music or something, and they have that serial code attached to it, connected to it. And the idea is that that makes it yours. So anybody that has one that doesn't have that serial code, it's just, it's just a random copy, but you have the original. And then it gets mined by going through that process we talked about, by going through the blockchain. And so it's official. And then technically, if it gets, like, if you minted it, if you created it, I sell it to Barbara, and Barbara likes it, but then she realizes she can sell that image of the surfer that I gave her. She bought it for $1, and now she just wants to see if she can sell it for $10, and she does. So she sells it for 10, and then the next person is selling it for 20, and that's what's happening right now with a lot of these NFTs. But the person that minted that original code can actually have it set up so they're profiting too. So every time it sells, the person that minted it gets a small portion of it. And because of the way the blockchain works, that's actually monitorable. So if you just take away the idea of the image of the surfer, like, that's a limited thing. Like, it doesn't have to be an image of a surfer, and you think of it as your house. So instead of it being an image of a surfer, it's an actual house, but that property is, given the code, like, and then it becomes an NFT. And that's kind of what's happening as well. I'm just going to read this first paragraph here. Blockchain platforms associated with real estate, the real estate sector, provide an answer in terms of speed and safety that can considerably reduce the risk of fraud. We've all heard of the fraud that happens with escrow and transferring wire transfers and all kinds of things. All stages of the real estate transactions are concerned by this innovative technology and its implications for simplifying the transmission of data and reducing the time between the signing of the preliminary sales agreement and the deed of sale before the notary. So now we're getting into one other final crypto that I want to mention, which is the first to actually take all of this and put it together. Okay, I'll read this one last thing. The blockchain offers unparalleled speed via the establishment of smart contracts, which do not require the intervention of third parties. These digitalized contracts are the equivalent in some ways to paper contracts. However, they allow parties to secure all the information contained and to prevent their modification. In practice, the majority of smart contracts that are used in the automation of value exchanges in the form of virtual currencies the crypto assets. All of the accounting entries corresponding to these exchanges of digital values are automatically recorded in the blockchain, making the transfers visible and immutable. The conditions of these smart contracts leave no room for doubt or interpretation present in our everyday transactions. So we use the Bureau of Conveyances right now, but again, each state has their own system. You have to, the office could be closed. Somebody has to refer to certain records. Records get lost. So all of that disappears with the smart contracts and the way that the system in the blockchain works. And that's one of the reasons there's an appeal for it. And yeah, so this is the last slide I wanted to bring up. And this is an important one. It's called Propy. And Propy is basically the first real estate entity that has embraced all of these elements and put them all together. There's two things I would say. One is as a real estate professional and somebody who's new to cryptocurrency, I have no vested interest in this again, because again, I don't benefit from this and I'm not shilling. However, Propy just launched literally within the last month as a cryptocurrency. So if you believe that, it has potential, this might be a coin that you would be interested in trying to get some of, because, it could go up significantly. Essentially, Propy is almost like Zillow, but they've taken all of the other elements and thrown them in. So you can look for a house. They take stuff from MLS all over. You can find a house and make an offer on it. You can pay with crypto or fiat, as far as I know. I think there's still an element of agent involvement, but I've got to find out how they're doing that, and it might, right now there is. I don't know if that's going to continue in the future. But basically, Propy is offering people the opportunity to do an entire transaction inside the blockchain and inside their closed system. So you would find it, you would set your offer, you would pay for it, and ultimately receive the title, and it's all essentially online and utilizing crypto and the blockchain. So it is a disruptor. I think this is one to keep an eye out for. I think that most people obviously have not heard of this, but this one entity could potentially have a radical effect on the entire real estate industry. And it wouldn't surprise me if there are other real estate companies and entities that are probably, as we speak, modeling and trying to follow their lead. So this is an example of what I was saying at the beginning. So that's what Propy does. Now, because they are doing all this, they have also created their own coin. So that's just more like stock. So if you're like, wow, if I was telling you about Zillow before Zillow ever existed, or when Zillow first came out and you were like, wait, did you say pillow? If you would have gotten some stock in Zillow then, or same thing obviously with Amazon. So that's the kind of thing I would share with you right now. It's this is an opportunity. I think Propy coins are $2 right now, $2 and something. But who knows where what the value of it could go up to if this really has a big impact on the real estate industry, like I think it could. Here's just one other slide that sort of says it's one system that does it all. From the moment you receive a listing all the way to closing the deal, Propy's real estate transaction platform does everything for you, and it's all in one place. Brokers and agents all over the country love the simplicity and security of Propy. So that's Propy, and I think, yep, that is a condo that one of my buyer clients was interested in. So that's the last slide. I will take this off of screen share. So we are back here, and I recognize that was a lot of information. Believe it or not, I tried to kind of keep it simple. There's a lot of different areas where it can get complicated, but I hope that gives you sort of an overview of what is crypto, and then how is it affecting real estate, how it's impacting our industry right now. And now I will open it up to questions.
There's some questions in the chat.
Oh, okay, great. I will go to the chat. Hold on. So let me go back to here. My boys use Robinhood. Is that similar? Robinhood, I think, is an app which allows you to buy, purchase cryptocurrencies. I have to check specifically. I'm not. I know it's popular, but I'm not specifically familiar with the details of Robinhood, so I don't want to speak on that. NFT equals a valid title. An NFT can potentially be that, like I said, it has that sort of serial code connected to it, and so once you have that and it's validated, it is something that can be bought and sold and traded in that way. Twitter now recognizes not and validates the code and can be as your profile pic, right? Twitter now recognizes not and validates the code and can't be. Sasha, can you clarify that one? I'm not sure I get it.
I just had a crypto client who was so into it. He showed me his dead guys, and he was saying I needed to get to branding my website, Aloha Sasha ETH, like that our branding even changes. And he was showing me how his NFT was his profile pic on Twitter because they recognized it. But yeah, I'd be interested also, where do you get Proppy? I'm searching it now.
Proppy is available on most big exchanges. So each exchange gets to choose what cryptocurrencies it is going to buy and sell. So it really, like some are only available here, but not here. A lot of the big ones, but I mean, on nomics.com, which is one of the that lists the different cryptos. I know it's in the top 250. So I think that you could find it on most big exchanges. I don't know if you can get it on Coinbase, but you might. And there's Binance, there's FTX, there's different exchanges where you could acquire. But actually, to tell you the truth, if you're interested in getting Proppy, there's a special opportunity that was just given by Tony Giordano. So I could point you in his direction if you don't know him. He wrote The Social Agent, and he just did a talk with the head of the agency, and they were talking about real estate and crypto kind of too. And at the end of it, they said, if you I don't know if it's a referral link. I think it might be a referral link, but where you'll get some free Proppy. So anyway, I could point you in touch with him. I'm sure he can help with that. And if not, tell you where to get it. And if I look afterwards, I can find that too. There's a Hawaii photo that was sold last year for NFT to secure her value. And then that looks like it's a photo. Okay, that's very cool. Who runs the blockchain? There are different blockchains. There's not just one blockchain. So like the Ethereum network is one. The Pulse chain is a blockchain that's a fork of Ethereum that's going to be coming out in just about a month or two that I'm really excited about. And there's also, there's Cardano, there's the Thor chain. There's different chains that you can, different blockchains that you can. Solana is a different chain. So these are all different chains, and they have their own tokens, and then they have tokens that operate and projects that operate on these blockchains. So that's where it gets a little bit more complicated in the realm of crypto, but that gives you an idea. I mean, I think the analogy I gave at the beginning, which had to do with the train tracks, is a good one, in the sense that just because there's one major train line that goes from New York to LA, it doesn't stop another company from building their own train track and saying ours is better, or it might be faster and have other advantages that the others do not. Are transactions reported for tax purposes? Well, they're starting to be. As you can see, believe it or not, our own government has been doing things like this. I mean, not exactly like this, but our own government in terms of the senators and congressmen and all of that are trying to figure out crypto because it's valuable. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money being traded. And so in the past, like in the early days, it was a little bit like the Wild West, like prior to 2017, for sure. If you were one of those, fortunate individuals that bought Bitcoin, and just held on to it until 2016, 2017, and you bought it at a few $100s and saw it go up to 17, 18,000, you could have sold all that and had no tax implications because there weren't. And then there's certain projects that somebody else had asked, like the value of a token. So I've invested in several projects that they're non-taxable events, because when you first get the tokens, they're actually valued at zero, officially, legally. And because if something's valued at zero, it's a non-taxable event. So certain projects have gotten smart in the sense that they know how it works. And instead of giving you something that's worth a lot of money, they give you something valued at zero, but that immediately, once people start trading and buying and doing the activity, it goes from zero to, one of the projects I'm on, like I said, it took 1 year for it to go from zero to a penny. Now that might not sound like much, but if you got involved in it when it was at zero, you might be a millionaire by the time it's a penny. You might have heard of this token called Doge, or there's another one right now called Shiba Inu, which are these like sort of meme tokens. They actually started as jokes and they're kind of silly, but people, support it and get into it. And so Shiba Inu, which is has a market cap, a very big market cap in the billions of dollars, is still valued at under a penny. So like one Shiba Inu is worth 0.0003 whatever of a penny, but it still can have value or has value. Sorry, so let me just try and get through the rest of these. But so in terms of regulation is coming. If you have a Coinbase account, so and we didn't even really get into what Don was talking about. What Don was mentioning at the beginning is very legitimate. Hawaii is probably number 50 out of 50 in terms of the least, I guess you could say, crypto-friendly states. Hawaii is very old school, traditional, kind of like, we don't understand that, and we don't want to get involved with it. And so a lot of these exchanges, it's difficult to even get a membership or participate in them if your address is in Hawaii. You're not allowed to. So that there is a certain, now that's getting a little better, I think, in general. I mean, I think there are opportunities where they don't ask exactly where you live and whatnot, or specifically, I mean, and for tax things like anything else, I would say, talk to your tax accountant, your CPA. I know that if you make money in crypto, you're supposed to declare it now. So if I buy something at a penny and it goes up to 10 cents and I end up with a few $1,000s profit, and I actually sell the crypto. So if it's just sitting in a wallet and I've made the money, but it's just sitting there, you don't have to do anything. But if I sell it and actually have that profit, then yeah, that money is supposed to be reported, and the government wants to know about that. And they're starting to monitor these, like Coinbase and some of the exchanges. They're trying to, although a lot of the core crypto audience is not happy about all of that, because like I said at the beginning, one of the things they like is the aspect of freedom and anonymity, and not having everybody, monitoring every transaction and things like that. So we're in the process of that getting all kind of figured out right now. I just tried to get them, says Hawaii is not supported. We'll have to sign in when on mainland. Yes, that is a good point, Teresa. As I said, Hawaii can be problematic with some of this stuff. I used to live in California, and I think that when I joined a lot of the exchanges and things, it was when I still, have a California address and that type of thing. So that's something, there are workarounds, is what I can say. And there are ways to do everything above board and legally. It's just a little bit more complicated. You do have to look into that. And found properties. Yeah, exactly. There's some more information. How did cryptos originate? What was the original purpose? Who gives you the cash for the crypto? Well, okay, so there basically, when you sell your on these exchanges, you can sell your crypto, and I mean, and there's not just exchanges, there's also there's other places too where you can off ramp, but basically there's always that aspect of conversion. So if it's a crypto and your goal is to have to have actual cash that you can go to the gas station or something and use, right now we're working on it. And like I like at the beginning I said, I've got my own crypto entity, and the coin that I'm working on is a utility coin. So it's not in the world of just created to sort of try and make more money, and you buy it and then it's worth more. It's actually got a usage. It's utility usage between individuals. So it's in my vision, it's meant to influence our culture more and make people more abundant and be able to be more generous. So it's like a currency that's created to support generosity. But I could get into that in another session. That's, like I said at the beginning, I don't want to be shilling. If you guys have questions specifically about, portfolio and, projects that I've done well with, or suggest things like that, we could always talk about that offline. But yeah, so that's kind of, that's that. And we're already somehow at an hour. So maybe if there's one more big question that somebody's burning to ask, I'll be happy to take it. And like I said, I remain available offline to answer questions or support you guys. And maybe if there's a desire, we can do a part 2. Any other questions before we sign off that somebody's burning to ask?
Part 2, please.
Part 2, yes. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody so much for being here. And if you're watching this, at some point after we are creating it, I hope you got something from it. And, I said this to somebody at the beginning. Prior to real estate, I had, and I still have a media company, but I had a 20 plus year career in film and television. And I grew up with my dad shooting 8mm film movies. He had an 8mm camera, and he had to load the film in, and then he took it to a place to get developed. And we used to always look forward to our home movie nights where we could watch these movies. And I remember growing up and just like, all of us, most of us here probably grew up with traditional cameras where you would load the film in and have to get it developed. And I think that there was a time when we got so used to that we thought that was always going to be around, or that was always going to exist. And with movies, even when the digital sort of revolution started and videos were getting better and better, people still were like, oh, we're always going to shoot movies on film. Like, it'll always be film. That's what film is. And it's just amazing that within a decade of that, not only were movies not shot on film, but Kodak, the biggest film manufacturer in history with almost 100-year history or whatever, went out of business. And so I think that it's important to recognize that, and it's not even like everybody at the time preferred digital cameras. It's just the ease of the technology and the transition. It just sort of happens. It's almost like a wave coming to shore. If you're standing on the shore and you're like, no, you're still going to get washed up in the wave when the wave is coming. And that's how I personally feel about this new sort of digital revolution. Is it's so tied to technology itself, and the fact that we're all walking around with our phones and interacting in that capacity. I think that there's always going to be some aspect of fiat around, and I think it's going to take a while before, as a whole, before humanity is ready to get rid of paper money and coins. But I definitely think that we should be on the lookout for this same experience that I just described with film versus digital film or digital photos, and the fact that we're all now taking, you know, photos with our phones. It's happening in the monetary world with crypto and with these currencies and with technology. And so the more aware that we are of it, I think the more we can, you know, make it a positive and sort of influence it in the best way we can. And so I just want to leave by saying great job to everybody that is here, because just by being here, you're showing that you're, you know, kind of part of the wave of what's happening and the wave of the future. And I hope that you all can, you know, find projects that you believe in. And because like I said, it is still really early. And even in terms of creating wealth and abundance, there is a lot of opportunity. Watch out, there's a lot of scams. I got burned pretty bad in my first year or two in crypto. I learned the hard way. It's gotten a little better, but there's still a lot of scams, so you have to be very careful. But that being said, if you can get into some of these projects, you can also create amazing wealth and abundance and influence our culture in a positive way. So thank you for being here, and until the next
Thank you,
one.
Jonathan.
Thank
Okay,
you.
aloha. Happy closings, everybody.
Yeah.